Yeah, and the anti Trumpism that is spouted out there is often, if I ever talk to anybody and somebody I know, and I'm like, come on, why are you voting for this? It's always, oh, Nancy Pelosi's a left-winger. Oh, Bernie Sanders is a left-winger. Oh, AOC's a left-winger. Joe Biden's going to be crazy just like them. And you just sit there and go, are you serious? You're the same person telling me that COVID is just like the flu. No, it's not. Jason, I got some advice when I first started running my campaign. A very wise man told me, here's what you do, son. You raise all the money you can, and you don't spend it. I'm like, what? He goes, you raise all the money you can, and then don't spend it. I'm like, that makes no sense. He goes, no, that makes all the sense in the world. Don't spend your money. He goes, last 3 weeks, when voters finally start to focus, then you pour it all on. Well, Donald Trump is spending, my God, he's spent hundreds of millions and millions of dollars on the stupidest things. And here we are, crunch time, when people are voting in North Carolina. They're about to start voting in Pennsylvania. They're going to be voting in Michigan, all the early voting going around the country. And they can't even put up ads. They're running out of money.
And yeah, Joe, and I'm sure you had this experience when you ran as well. The thing about advertising is it works both ways. It's not just for your voters, it's also for your donors. Your donors are the ones who call you angry saying, why don't I see any of your ads on television? Why don't I see any yard signs? So that's the other thing that's happening to Donald Trump right now. Because his failure to do proper advertising, the people who give him money are wondering where their money is going. And here's the thing. You know, the other important thing, not to go all nerdy for everybody, for those who don't understand, but there's this thing in campaigns called burn rate, right? It's how much you're bringing in versus how much you're spending. It is a national forest fire for the Trump campaign. They've burned through everything right now. And Joe Biden, who was supposedly hiding in the basement, managed to raise a lot of money on Zoom. So what does this mean at the end? It means either one, that Trump has got to hope and beg that local coverage of his rallies is going to move voters, which it won't. He's got to hope and beg that whatever kind of money he's got left is going to allow door knocking, which it won't. Or he was never really running a campaign all along, and he really thinks that cheating and affecting the post office and voter suppression is what's going to allow him to win the Electoral College. Because to have as little money as he's got as an incumbent president with less than 2 months left for the election, he must have some trick up his sleeve, because it's nearly not financial. His pockets are empty.
Yeah, well, you know, we have something else going on here, and we're going to have an analysis in about 10, 15 minutes. It's interesting. Jason, you're talking about burn rate. There's been an analysis of Facebook ads that are out there. The overwhelming number of Trump Facebook ads, if you go into the archives and you look at it, they're solicitation ads. Like a very small number of those ads now are targeting. They're almost entirely, according to our next guest, entirely solicitation. So they're spending millions and millions of dollars to try to raise more money, which reminds me of what Ben Carson did in 2016. Carson, of course, spent tons of money raising money, and it was a burn rate, and the only people that made money were the people that were mailing out the information and the people that were, I mean, Ben Carson got totally used by people around him, I think, because they were just burning through millions of dollars trying to raise millions of dollars. Who would have ever believed 4 years later we could be in a position where an incumbent president might be in the same position?
Yeah. And it's
Jason
crazy
Johns.
to think also that... Oops.
Go ahead, Jason.
I'm sorry. Yeah, and it's crazy to think that, look, I can disagree with Trump ideologically, but he has smart people around him. They had to see this was coming. They had to see when they were taking vacations and spending this kind of money that it was not going to play out well for them. But unfortunately, I think you've got a lot of people, you see it with these books and things like that. It's a bunch of rats running from the ship. They want to make as much money off of Donald Trump and then run off and write their books because they don't think he's going to win.
Yeah.
Willie.
One more point, guys, when we talk about how this campaign is spending money. The Trump campaign spent more money this summer
June, July, and August on national television ads on Fox News. Presumably most of those viewers have been converted, already supporting President Trump, than they did in battleground states like Michigan and Wisconsin. Also, the campaign, remember, ran ads in Washington, D.C. Why? In addition to the Fox News ads, so President Trump would see them and he would know that his campaign is making ads and working for him. So again, it always comes back to pleasing the boss, even at the expense of more important places like Michigan and Wisconsin.
Well, Willie, what about the Super Bowl? You think he can use that money right now, the millions and millions of dollars that he blew on a couple of Super Bowl ads because he didn't want to be outdone by Michael Bloomberg? That's money he could be using in all of these different states. So, you know, Willie, if you're giving this guy money, if you've contributed to him in the past, you've got to be asking, why am I throwing good money after bad? It doesn't make sense anymore. They're not spending it wisely, and they haven't spent it wisely.
And they're burning the money all to feed the ego, to please the boss. And he likes that. Another candidate would say, why the hell are you putting ads all over Fox News? Put them in Michigan and Wisconsin. Why the hell are you putting them in Washington, D.C., a place I have no chance of winning? Putting them in Wisconsin and Michigan. But he was pleased with those ads because he got to see them as he watched TV.
Terrific. Jason Johnson, we thank you for being on this morning. And still ahead on Morning Joe, former